So what's being sought for is already everything. Everything is already it. My voice, the room you're sitting in, chair you're sitting on, scratching, itching, thoughts, the sky, everything. Everything is it already. So the good news is nothing needs to be done. Even the feeling that this isn't it, that there's something more to be sought, that I'm not quite there yet, that's this too. You can't escape this. You can't get this. And because everything's already this, you can't even know this. Crazy. So the seeking is an attempt to find what's already the case. So if everything's already it, including the seeking, is it too? The sense of this doesn't feel like enough. That sense of lack, limitation, separation, this too. So the nothing needs to be done is the good news. So whatever's showing up is already wholeness. This right here. Any stories we may tell, anything. All is this. Doesn't leave anything out. And so we can open up the meeting, we can share, we can tell stories, we can comment, we can ask questions, because everything's still this. So the question is this and the answer is this. So feel free to unmute, jump in, whatever you like. We can sit in silence, all this.
I have a question, or maybe it's just a story, because you've talked about death before and how nobody dies. But like when I think I'm dreaming at night. I've died many times, only to wake back up into another Wendy character. So I don't know. Any input?
Did you have a question?
Oh, you didn't hear me. Shit. Um, never mind. It's really not important.
That's this too. So dreaming about death, that's this. Waking up, that's this. There's just no escape. There's nothing that's not this because there's no division. There's no separation. It's imagined.
Yes, when I was 13, I announced that to my family and they had me committed. So, then life happened. But I know all that's a story too, but I never was a seeker. And so when I stumbled across non-duality, I'm like, wow, this sounds exactly what I was trying to explain when I was a kid. So I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, as children, there is that purity that as a child, we just played to play. And we didn't need a reason. We didn't have to go analyze why Billy's sandcastle looked better than mine. We just played and, knocked each other's sandcastles down and fought, and it was all beautiful. But somehow, as the personality develops, it begins to analyze and second guess and question, and suddenly we get lost in the story of me and my life and how can I improve it, and like that. And suddenly the immediacy of just what is gets obscured, no longer feels enough. And so then the seeking begins. But there's only this. There's only what is. So that's why the seeking is so painful. Because you're seeking what's already here. It's like having your keys in your pocket and then going looking for your keys.
I've never seen, I didn't even know what seeking was. Yeah. It's just, I just quit talking about it because everybody around me seemed to just not know what I was talking about. So I just went along with the program until I, come across these rabbit holes, and I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm not crazy after all.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this meeting and us zooming together on Wednesday nights, because you can feel like an odd duck in the world when the world doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah, and things happen anyway. And so, when I'm feeling like a volcano ready to erupt, I got to tell you that those Nkosi and Alice videos, like 4 days nonstop, chilled me right out. I thank you so much for that. It brings me back down. It's like, okay, it's all right, all good. So thank you.
Yeah, well, Nkosi just showed up, so you can thank him yourself. But I agree, Wendy, those audios, Alice and Nkosi, I've said it before, I think they're the greatest things on the internet. I really do, because it's one thing to talk about unconditional love, but it's stunning when you hear it and see it and witness it and feel it.
Yes. And I play a love flute. And so I was playing it, listening to Nkosi and all. And you know what? It just played itself. And I'd never played it that good in my freaking life. And it brought tears to my eyes. And it was great. It was just like, I don't know, a new drug or something. But I loved it. And Nkosi, I can't see you on here, but thank you so much. You've really chilled the volcano out. I appreciate it. I love your videos. They relax me.
You're welcome.
Nkosi, we were talking before you got here about how everything is already this, so nothing needs to be done.
Yeah, really, there's nothing to be done. Because even the one who seems to be doing something is already this. So there's no one who's ever said anything, who's ever done anything. There's nowhere to get to. There's already no one who's on the journey to find this, to know this and become this, because all there is this. It's just this talking, asking questions, giving an answer. So the one looking for it is already it. So there's no escape here. There isn't really anyone who's outside who can talk about this. There's no one who can talk on behalf of this. There's just this. And this is nameless, formless, and empty. It's even wordless. No word can describe this. And this can never be said. And right now, there isn't anyone who's saying anything. There isn't anyone who's talking to anyone here. There's just what seems to be happening. It seems to be happening, but it's not really happening. This is going nowhere. Nkosi is talking to me. It's just a thought appearing in this. There isn't anybody who's talking to anybody here. There's just this. While even to say this is wholeness, this is everything, all those are just concepts. This is beyond any description. What seems to be talking, happening, and keeping quiet is the same. Because everything is this. It's not this, because there's somebody who seems to be talking about it. It's just this, even there's no talking happening. For this to be this doesn't need any talking, any description to happen. It's just this, right here. And there's no story here. There's no individual here. Story is an imagination appearing in this. A you who thinks is talking is just an imagination appearing in this. And there's nothing wrong or right with anything here. Anything may arise here. There are no limitations. And everything is beautiful because everything is just an expression of this, nameless, formless. Cannot be described. It's just this. This is just this, not for you. It's just this for itself. And this doesn't know anything. There isn't somebody here who knows everything. There's just everything. This is aliveness. This is spaciousness. This is formlessness. This is limitlessness. And what seems to be looking for it is already it. So there's no way to go. There's nothing to collapse here. There's nothing to fall away. There is no individual to collapse because there isn't any individual in the first place. There is already no death because there's no birth in the first place. It's just this. Am I being too serious here?
No, it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's stunning.
Totally clear, Nkosi. Thank you for sharing.
I agree, although I've died many times, only as a story. Just to wake up in another Wendy character.
It's okay.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So no limitations cannot be imagined. When Nkosi says this is limitless, it's unimaginable, it's unknowable, it's a complete and total mystery.
Is it the mystery unto itself? Because I know if you say it's a mystery, I will go, in me, I go, well, yes, it's a mystery to me. I can appreciate that, but there's no me. So there's no mystery to me. So, but it is a mystery. So it said, so the mystery, the mystery is occurring, or the mystery is what it is. And who or what is to say that that calling it a mystery, because it's not a mystery, it's what it is. So it's just, this is what it is. This is how it's appearing. So I'm a little, so it's not a mystery. It's just this.
These are just words. They're just labels. No word and no label is accurate. So pick whichever one you like, though.
Okay.
You can't go wrong. Because all is this.
So you're absolutely right, Don. It's really not a mystery. It's, as Nkosi said, wordless. You know, it's not a mystery. It's not anything that we could say, but it's a mystery to the mind, to the me. The me is trying to know everything. So to the mind, it's a mystery, but really it's not a mystery. It's just a mystery to the one that is trying to know what it is and understand it. And there is no one.
That was so clear, Dan.
Good.
I wasn't listening. Say it again, Dan. The dogs were playing.
Oh no, you missed it.
I did. All I heard Alice say was, that was so clear, Dan. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about the mystery and how we say it's a mystery, but whatever, it's not really, you know, whatever we say, we're saying all the time, it's this, it's that, it's nameless, it's wordless, it's limitless, but it isn't any of those things. And it's not a mystery. It's not a mystery, and it's not a, it's, you know, it isn't, there's any word, it doesn't, no word goes with this. But we always say it's a mystery because we're to the me. To me, it's a mystery because me is always trying to know what it is, what everything is. So that's where the answer comes back. It's a mystery. The me is not going to know. There's no answer for the me. And the me has the habit. Me is a, you know, habit, you know, a knowing addict. So we're always talking to the me, you know, to remind the me that there's no answer to the me's question.
When we say there's no answer to the me question, to this question, this is it. I'm concerned with all the other people that don't get it. So I'm in the camp called a bridger, trying to help people come over to this side. So I'm more interested in working on the other side, getting people to realize what we're talking about. Because that's great, this is it, and we get it, but 90% of the people don't get it, and some people are interested. So there has to be some bridge to help them move over into this arena. Or maybe not.
Alan, this is your territory. We happen to have another bridge builder here.
I think there's kind of an assumption that there is someone or some buddies, plural, to get it or not get it. And that itself needs to be explored, that underlying assumption that there is somebody, a person to get it. And it's just,
Also that there is something to get, you know, earlier on it was referenced that there isn't anything to get. So there is two assumptions here, that there is someone to get something.
But if we just saying this is it, so many people aren't going to get this is it. So a bodhisattva is in the world trying to help people get across the bridge instead of just sitting there saying this is it.
there really may be no bridge to cross.
Maybe.
When I hear the word mystery, I often in the mind I'll use the word unknowable, and that it's sort of like, but even the word becomes the concepts become almost like a veil, you know, and then the mind tries to figure out which concept is the best. Because my character has done that, but sort of realizing that no word is really going to do it. It's just like the concepts become the me or my mind trying to grasp it or understand it.
So we could say the old schools of Buddhism maybe are out of fashion or not in what's happening today, but yet they had a whole school trying to help people cross the bridge. Why?
In the early Buddhism, it was said that when the ferry boat went from one side to the other, in one of the early writings in the Pali language, the person looked back, you know, wanted to see where they came from. But when they looked back, they realized there was no coming from. It was all just one thing anyway. And so the ferry boat or moving from one place to another was just you might say a conceptual or dualistic approach. But in reality, there was nothing to cross and no boat was necessary because it was just this.
Right, but they got to some point where they could see that. Maybe.
But if they didn't, that was it too.
What if instead of the word mystery, we say that this is mysterious? Because it has kind of a deliciousness to it, even though this sounds so flat, there's no qualities to it, there's nothing to get a hold of, but the living of it is kind of delicious. I mean, it is kind of mysterious, and it is kind of paradoxical, and it's all these things at the same time. And it's pleasant, and there's a positive nature to living with it that is very freeing. And I think the word bliss gets way overused, but I kind of like the word mysterious. It does have that, the combination of good and bad at the same time, that it's all this, but it's also all of everything. It's also flowers and trees and, the amazing apparent experience and deliciousness of the whole creation. So it's not just like a flat this. I think that's kind of what was being referred to, is that just saying, you know, it's just this. Well, this is kind of boring and flat and tasteless, but the real this is not boring or flat or tasteless. It's the most exciting thing there is. And I think that's good reason you want to bring people to it. And I think you made a really good point about that a lot of people just aren't gonna be able to get any kind of a even intro if we just say that it's, well, this is it, and just keep repeating it. I think we need to sort of draw it out.
See, we make this often conditional to something.
Right.
And if there isn't any conditions, then there really isn't anybody that isn't getting anything or isn't getting it. You know, if it's just, if we drop the conditions, I hear you, Kirk, and as you were talking, I was just like sampling it. And for me, this isn't really flat. What it is, it's a relaxation into stopping to fight, stopping to think something has to be done, or I have to cross the bridge, or, you know, it just, so it's relaxing, and also an appreciation somehow, like, you know, just the sense that it's enough and it's all. You know, I'm hesitant to call it bliss or you know, I think the positiveness of this is highly overrated. You know, the extreme case is the 24/7 enlightenment from where you never return, you know, like the ultimate bliss. You know, I wouldn't know, but this seems to me much more ordinary and simple, and just pleasant because it's refreshingly relaxing.
I totally agree with that. And I think you're right. I think that word bliss especially it's kind of like the carrot. Like, that makes it something to get. That means there's something that I don't have already. But you're right, the description, it's just impossible to describe. I think everybody kind of agrees with that when it does become clearer, that you just can't put it in words. It's just fumbling.
Yeah.
But it is tangible in some way. I mean, what you just described is a very positive and beneficial and relaxing and peaceful and amazing experience. So it's, you know, we're all sort of trying to use words to talk about what isn't words.
Right.
But it is amazing. And is it Aja? Do you pronounce it Aja? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, that's true. Aja. Yep.
Aja. I think your point was really well made. When you have it, you want to share it, and because you see people suffering and people that are clearly really miserable in this state of chasing after this and that and things. And but it's a sticky wicket on how you go about it without making it worse.
I think it's both sides of that. I don't think it's just bliss. I think it's hell too.
Yes. I agree. And I
mean,
think,
and when you know that it's hell, you can look at it in a different way, which seems to help. But I know that's just another story, because it's just going to happen as it happens. But so many people talk about bliss and love. But let me tell you, it's all of it.
yeah, no, that's absolutely
Every
right.
bit of it.
Yeah, you got to have both sides of the coin. You can't just, you're absolutely right.
Every angle.
And congratulations on getting your video to work too.
I know. Did you see that? I'm pretty proud of that, you know. It worked.
Okay, here's the other Bridger.
All right.
Come on, bring it on, Alan.
Dan put me on the spot. You know, for the last 10 or 15 minutes, I've been hearing people use great terms that I agree with: pleasure, relaxation. The hell part, I don't. My experience is that when I'm in a state of beingness, or what we're calling this here, to me, there is a sense of what Peter said: relaxation, clarity, peace. I know those sound like dualistic statements, but for me, there are no opposites to that. It's just a state. And the reason why I think most people, if not all people, are on this call is because when they get off the call, they want to feel better. They want to feel more relaxed, more pleasure, less attached to the me, less attached to the stories. Even though we're saying that this doesn't have a label or a story or anything. So I go back to what Aja said, which is my experience in this world, even though we can say that everybody is exactly as they are and that's perfect and that's this too, is I agree with Aja. I think there's a lot of people that are in their story, they're in their me. Now we can say that's perfectly this too. I totally understand that. But as a bridger, I would say that if I can, like this call where we're all trying to help each other, if I can tell somebody on the street that, hey, take a deep breath, and that makes them feel more relaxed and more pleasurable and more quiet, that's a good thing to do. Now we can say that's this too. I get that. But I do feel like, as I just said, that, you know, we can absolutely influence other people in a better way. And I know I'm already going to get in trouble with that comment, but I do feel like that there are things that we can do, to use Peter's words, to feel more relaxed, more pleasure, more peace. You know, I know Michael, from many of our old songs, I loved how you would always talk about being in flow or in sync. You would talk about walking by UCLA and the flowers, and or getting the parking spot. And so I feel like that there is a synchronicity and harmony in the universe, and it's already happening, and we can say that's this too. But I do feel like we're in a physical body. We're in a human body on some level. Now you can say, well, where's the human being? But we are living out life. Now we can say that that's this too. But I find that if I say something nice to a person as opposed to scream at them, that it feels more organic and it feels more natural and it feels more in harmony. And I think that's why we're all on this call, is because we feel like there are things we can do to influence the non-me, the non-story, the non-form, so we can be in this state of formlessness more often, hopefully all the time. So there's the Bridger statement for the night, and I will now mute myself. Thank you for all listening.
Well, Alan, I'm just dying to say thank you. And it just, something just dropped, that it's, if all is this, it's wonderful what you shared. It's just wonderful. Thank you. You know, it just dawns on me, it's so simple. I used to think I have to argue these things because I have a different story about it, or I have a different concept and I need to compare it. And I just realized it's wonderful that there is so much freedom in here that you can share your story, and you didn't get in trouble yet. Maybe if I shut up, maybe you will get in trouble, or I will. Who knows?
No, you can't. No one can get in trouble because it's all this. So we're all covered always.
There you go, bro.
Forever. What is it, Michael? For obvious and
effortless.
It's always obvious and effortless. Always. And it's not obvious and not effortless. It's like it's both, right?
Yes.
Sorry, Michael. I felt I was channeling you on some level, or Alan Watts, or both.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, Alan. You know, you mentioned going on walks. There's a VA center next to my apartment where I live here in West LA. And I'd often go walking through the grounds of the VA, and there's all kinds of flowers. There's cactuses, there's roses, there's, you know, carnations, gardenias. Every flower is beautiful, all expressions of this. So Alan, you're not going to get in trouble. All of it is beautiful. It's lovely to see all these wonderful expressions.
Thank you. I was sweating it there for a little bit.
I'm officially declaring to Aja and Alan that I'm surrendering the anti-bridger status that I have maintained for a while. So it just fell into the water as there was no bridge there. Washing downstream, back home.
You mentioned Alan Watts, Michael, and he tells a joke. It's the same Harvey. It's the ferry boat story, and the student is on one side of the river and the teacher's on the other side of the river, and the student yells across to the teacher and he says, "How do I get to the other side?" And the teacher yells back, "You are on the other side."
Great story.
Someone once asked Yogi Berra what time it is, and he said, "You mean now?"
Way to bring the baseball stories in, Alan. That's great.
He also said, if you see a fork in the road, pick it up.
My response to Aja, to his question or statement, is that I hope I'm on the right track about this. That for people who don't appreciate this non-dual message, and you want to give it to them because you can see their suffering, I don't find that works. My daughter is in great pain, great emotional pain, and my responses to her questions and comments come from a non-dual perspective, and she doesn't seem to be able to pick that up at all. And she was going to a counsellor, and she stopped going to see the counsellor. And what I take from that is that really we need to find our own way home. We just need to find our own way, and and the resources are there if we are seeking a better way of living. The resources are there anyway, so that I don't feel a need to reach out to people. I think the people, my daughter included, can find their own way, because what they're looking for is available. And maybe it's their suffering, as it has been for me. It's the suffering that's caused me to look and seek till I've ended up here. And I was just thinking of the Bible quote that says, "Seek and ye shall find." And I think I have to come to the realization that I can't give this to anybody. They have to find it for themselves.
I found that when you're, this is it, living in that space, there's a radiance, there's a joy, a peace, an expansion, a release. And intuitively, some people might be attracted to that energy. And then intuitively, spontaneously, there's a willing to know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it.
And I'd also add, sorry, I would add too that, like in your case, Faith, she may not be in a position to hear the message now, or a month from now, or 2 months from now, but maybe 3 months from now, she saw a commercial, read a book, was affected by a bird in the sky, and she is ready to hear it. And I would also say that for as many people that maybe aren't ready to hear it and you can't force it down their throat, there also might be just as many people, if not more, that are ready to hear it. So I agree with you from the point of view that it can be very tricky if someone's not open and not interested or doesn't want to hear it. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. But I think to Aja's point, I just think it depends. You know, the person on the street corner who's suffering might be ready to hear it, and so I think it's good to be open to that possibility.
I would just like to add that again, there is a basic presupposition here that suffering is bad. It's not supposed to be. We're not supposed to suffer, and that we need to make an effort, or we need to learn or get something to not suffer. I'm just saying that that's, you know, if that's accepted as this, which it is this. You know, I just, yeah, no, I'll finish my sentence to say that I'm kind of a little bit like what Faith said, like, you know, I try to tell people about what turns me on in terms of non-duality, and it really has, there needs to be a certain openness there and willingness, and I know what the Bridger would say is yes, and we can help them get to that point. So,
and I'm like a Johnny Appleseed. I plant seeds, they might not sprout for 30 years.
But I mean, is there free will? I mean, this does itself. I don't think you can wake up anybody. That happens. I mean, you know, maybe you're to plant a seed just because that's how it's going to happen. But I can tell you the people around me, they just have no idea what I'm talking about. So now I just kind of watch the show, but I don't know. I don't feel like there's free will. I haven't felt like that all my life. I mean, it just does itself. Am I wrong in thinking that? I mean, how can we, you know, if we don't even exist and we are a story, you know, I just think free will and no free will is just another story. I don't know.
Yeah, as Nkosi said at the beginning, nobody's ever done anything.
Right. Yeah. Thank goodness. That's a relief. I mean, some things are like I'm so proud of, but I know that really wasn't me. But there's a lot of things like, oh wow, that was not me. I didn't do that. True. I mean, I've been like this a long time. It caused me a lot of problems when I was younger, even though, I mean, you know, time's not real either, but the story, yeah, that was hell. That was not bliss. And I went completely like gone. Like I was gone. Like, I feel like, I guess it'd be like deep sleep where you just aren't there. That's the only thing I can equate it to. Yeah, the first mental hospital she took me to, they told her for all they know I was right. She did not like it. So she took me to another one and they liked her insurance, but it was all good because I loved my shrink. I really did. She was wonderful. Things changed for me a lot after that. So it was great. It was bad and good. It was all of it. All right, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm talking too much.
I think you bring up an interesting point that there seems to be a lot of people who are having this experience spontaneously before they know anything about non-duality, and then they're really confused and
I thought it was normal.
Yeah, well, it is normal. It's the most normal.
Well, they tried to tell me it wasn't. They tried to tell me I was crazy. I said, really don't think so.
Well, that would be a case for a Bridger right there.
well, life still happened. I mean, I had to raise a kid and just, things happen. And I didn't bring it up much because everybody seemed to think I was crazy. And so I just let it go. That's why when I stumbled across the non-duality, it was like, my tribe. I found my tribe. It was wonderful. It made me feel like I was home, even though there's not even a me. And I'm already home. I've always been home. It was just nice. It just was a nice story.
You were like Harry Potter in a world of muggles.
Oh, I was in a world of all kinds of craziness. I am right now again, too. That's why the Nkosi and the Alice think oh my gosh. I feel like they really saved me. I needed to chill big time. And it worked. 4 days. I'm like, this is it. It brought me back down to, I say reality, but that's funny, isn't it?
I guess I wanted to say that in line with Audra and some of you all have said, I at one time had someone say to me, go out and teach the gospel, but don't say a word. And I had a gentleman do some woodwork in my house. He was there for 2 hours, and he recently died after 20 years.
Used to count the electoral votes.
And I will never forget him because of his energy and his aura. And I can see him as well today as I did then, but he never said a word about anything. Just his incredible presence was rememberable. And in terms of sitting with Nkosi every Saturday night, I'm so grateful to have that opportunity. It's the love and the acceptance and that aura that just is just so absorbing. So I don't think I have to talk about non-duality with anyone. I think if I have that love or that presence or whatever it is, that's what I want when I'm suffering. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
I think that's well said, Alice, because it's almost like it almost reminds me of a type of resonance that may occur. But also, I think too that if we sort of take on the role of being like an evangelist or evangelizing, whether it's non-dualism or Jesus or whatever, then it may imply that we know something that the other person doesn't know, or they're deficient, and we're trying to get them to where we are. So there's a paradox, because there's at times the feeling that we want to end suffering, or we're unnecessary suffering in others, but at the same time, what we may be doing is holding out the carrot and actually causing them to seek what we have or we're telling them about, and we're back in the hamster. Now they're back in the hamster wheel of looking for what we're telling them they should have, whether it's non-duality or Jesus or Brahman or whatever. And just a thought. It's something I contemplate.
So just to kind of wrap up this delightful, delicious, wonderful gathering, everything is already it. So nothing need be done. And that doesn't mean that doing doesn't happen. Any last comments or questions before we close out this evening?
When the student's ready, the teacher comes. I feel like that's what we've been saying for the last 30 minutes.
Thank you, everybody. Each and every one of you, so beautiful.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a
Thank you, everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.